Documents that are incomplete, expired, or improperly authenticated. This is where genuinely well-prepared applications still fail because of a detail almost nobody warns you about. Marriage certificates, birth certificates, and custody documents typically need an apostille, official authentication under the Hague Convention.
This is for the ones who are holding both worlds, working the numbers while raising the boys, sending back home while we're planning right here, legacy growing with every new year.
Financial/legal disclaimer. This episode is for educational purposes only and is not personalized legal advice. Immigration law changes over time. Confirm your specific situation with the German embassy or a licensed immigration lawyer before applying. Before we talk about raising children in two worlds, I need to answer a question first. Because after the last episode, someone left a comment that stopped me. She asked simply, how do I unite my children with me? That question deserves a real answer, not a vague one. So today, before anything else, let's actually walk through it, both how the process works and the 3 specific mistakes that get otherwise genuine applications rejected. I am Lynn Benson. This is Futuretainment. If your children are outside the EU and you're living in Germany, the process you need is called Kindernachzug, family-reunification, and specifically, the rules for children fall under Section 32 of Germany's Residence Act. Here's the part that matters most, and it depends entirely on your child's age. If your child is under 16 and you hold a residence permit in Germany, they generally receive a residence permit automatically alongside yours. This is the most straightforward path, and it's the one most diaspora parents actually qualify for. If your child is 16 or 17, special requirements apply. Your local German embassy can tell you exactly what those are for your specific case, because they vary. And if your child turns 18 before this process completes, they no longer qualify as a minor child for this route. They would need to apply for their own separate residence title entirely. This is worth knowing early, because timing matters here more than almost anything else in this process. 4 things you need to actually get this started. Thing 1, the documents. A valid passport for your child, a birth certificate proving the parent-child relationship, proof of your own residence status in Germany, proof you have adequate housing and enough income to support them without relying on state benefits, and health insurance covering your child once they arrive. Thing 2, if you're a single parent applying, you need the consent of the other parent who holds custody rights, even if that parent isn't coming to Germany. This surprises people, and it's worth sorting out early rather than discovering it mid-application. Thing 3, the actual application happens at the German embassy in your home country or through the Federal Foreign Office's Consular Services portal online. The visa fee is 75 euros. Realistically, from application to your child actually arriving in Germany, this process takes 3 to 9 months. Plan for the longer end, not the shorter one. Thing 4, once your child arrives, you're not done. Within 2 weeks, you need to apply for their actual residence permit at your local Ausländerbehörde, the foreigner's office, and complete their address registration, called Anmeldung. Miss this window and you create a completely avoidable problem for yourself. Now here's what I actually want to spend the rest of this episode on, because knowing the mechanics isn't the same as actually getting approved. Most family reunion visa applications aren't rejected because the family isn't real. They're rejected because of 3 specific avoidable mistakes. And once you know what they are, they're entirely within your control. Mistake 1. The money isn't documented precisely enough, not enough money. Documented precisely enough. The single most common rejection reason for Kindernachzug is that your income doesn't cover the full household once your child is counted as a member of it. Here's exactly how the immigration authority calculates this. They take Germany's Bürgergeld standard rate, add your actual rent, and check whether your net income clears that combined number dollars for your entire household, including the child who's about to join you. Here's a real example. If you earn 2,500 euros net and you're adding a spouse and 2 children to your household, the basic rate requirement alone can reach around 2,300 euros before rent is even added on top. I earn a good salary isn't the test. The test is whether your specific number, calculated their way, clears their specific threshold. The real practical fix: build in at least 300 euros of buffer above whatever the minimum calculation says you need. Authorities treat a narrow margin as a risk indicator. Even when technically you've cleared the line, a comfortable margin doesn't raise the same questions. Mistake 2. Documents that are incomplete, expired, or improperly authenticated. This is where genuinely well-prepared applications still fail because of a detail almost nobody warns you about. Marriage certificates, birth certificates, and custody documents typically need an apostille, official authentication under the Hague Convention. Here's the trap. Some apostilles expire after 6 months. People do everything right, get the apostille early, feel prepared, and by the time their actual visa appointment happens, months later, the document is no longer valid. The fix is sequencing, not effort. Don't get your apostilles until you actually have a confirmed appointment date. Getting organized too early can work against you here, which is counterintuitive, but it's exactly what trips people up. The same applies to housing proof. Authorities want to see your tenancy agreement and a floor plan showing the square meters submitted early in the process, not produced last minute when asked. When in doubt, the immigration office calculates against you, not for you. Mistake 3, and this is the one people find hardest to hear, trying to shortcut the process itself. Entering Germany on a tourist visa with the plan of applying for family reunification once you're already here will almost certainly result in refusal. I want to be direct about why, because I know the appeal of this shortcut. The process is genuinely slow. Consulate appointments can take months to secure. It feels faster to just come and sort the paperwork out once you're here. It isn't faster. The visa procedure has to be initiated from your home country through the German consulate there. There are no real exceptions to this for the situations most of you are in. Attempting it doesn't just fail, it can complicate every application you file after that one. I want to be honest about something here, the way I try to be honest about everything on this channel. This whole process is genuinely bureaucratic, and it can feel slow and cold when what you're actually trying to do is bring your child home to you. That gap between the paperwork and what it actually means is real, and I don't want to pretend otherwise. But here's what I want you to actually take from all of this. None of it, not the mechanics, not the 3 mistakes, is about whether your family is real or whether you deserve to be together. It's about precision, the exact age pathway understood correctly, the exact number calculated their way with a real buffer, the exact documents sequenced correctly, not just gathered eventually, and the exact process followed from the beginning, even when it feels unnecessarily slow. It is a real working path. Thousands of families have walked it before you. This is Futuretainment. I am Lynn Benson. We are rooted in 2 worlds. We are building one legacy. The one action this week, if this is your situation, contact your nearest German embassy directly and ask what documents they specifically require for your child's age, and calculate your household income the way the Ausländerbehörde actually calculates it, not the way it feels like it should work. Not a forum, not a WhatsApp group, the embassy, and your own real numbers. I've pinned a comment below with the equivalent resources for the US and UK systems. Since I know many of you are watching from there too, the underlying pattern is the same, even though the specific numbers differ. And once your children are actually here, in your home, in this new country, that's exactly where our next conversation begins. Because bringing them here is only the first question. The next one is who they become, caught between everything they knew and everything that's new. I'll see you there. For our families in US and UK. For those of you in the US and UK asking the same question, here's the short version of what trips people up in each system. Full deep dives on both coming soon. United States. The Affidavit of Support, Form I-864, is where most cases stall. Your income needs to reach 125% of the federal poverty guideline for your household size. If it doesn't, a joint sponsor can file their own I-864 to close the gap. Missing an original birth, marriage, or police certificate is the most common trigger for a 221G hold at your interview. Not a final denial, but a real delay. Bring originals, not copies. United Kingdom. The minimum income threshold is £29,000 per year, flat since April 2024, no longer scaled per child. The real trap isn't the amount, it's the paperwork. You need 6 consecutive months of pay slips. 5 months, even with income well above the threshold, has caused real rejections. Bank statements must show the salary deposits matching your pay slips with no gaps. Both systems share the same underlying lesson as Germany. Precise documentation beats a strong case with a paperwork gap every time.
Leave something worth inheriting.